All right, course schedule 3. So they give us a list of courses, and each course has a duration, the amount of time that it takes to complete the course, and it has a deadline. So this course takes 100 units of time or 100 days, and it has to be finished by the 200th day. And they want us to return the most amount of courses that we can finish given these durations and deadlines. So I went ahead and renamed this variable from courses to jobs because this is essentially a job scheduling problem, right? We're trying to complete the most amount of jobs given their durations and the deadlines that they have to be finished by. And the algorithm is super straightforward. So we just want to complete the most amount of jobs by a deadline. And if the total time to complete these jobs exceeds that deadline, then just remove the job that takes the most amount of time. Okay, so I just like typing this out in English and just like reading it out loud and just saying it out loud because it helps me reason about it and maybe it'll help you. But like I feel like this becomes really obvious when I feel like when you say it out loud, like yeah, we want to complete the most amount of jobs by a deadline, or we want to complete the most amount of jobs as we can within a certain amount of time. But if that total time to complete those jobs exceeds our deadline, then yeah, just remove the job that takes up the most amount of time so that we can free up the most amount of time for other jobs. Okay, so let's start by sorting our jobs array by the deadlines. So we're gonna sort this by we want the shortest deadlines at the front, right? So we want it in ascending order. So this is going to be A1 minus B1 because index 1 is the deadline. Okay, and now we want to create a priority queue because we want to keep track of whatever jobs take up the most amount of time. So let's call this a max heap because that's essentially because we want to remove whenever our total time exceeds our deadline, we want to remove the job that takes up the most amount of time. So we're going to keep the job that takes up the most amount of time at the front of this heap, which is why I'm calling it a max heap. So new priority queue, and we need to pass in a comparator to tell it to sort in descending order. So pass in A, B, and this is going to be B minus A, right? So these are the durations, not the arrays here. Right? So I said it's an integer, so this is just going to be duration 1, duration 2, and we're putting this in descending order. Okay, now we need to keep track of the total time that we've taken to complete these jobs. So in the beginning, we know it should be time equals 0 because we haven't completed anything yet. And let's loop through our jobs. And now we're going to assume that we're going to try to do this job, right? So we're going to add this job's duration to the total time that we've taken so far to complete these jobs. And we're going to add that duration to our max heap. Because again, we want to keep track of the jobs that take up the most time. And if the time that we've taken to complete these jobs so far exceeds this job's deadline, well, then we just want to remove the job that takes up the most amount of time. So if the time is greater than this job's deadline, then remove the job that takes up the most amount of time. And because we assume that we did this job, we're assuming that we're doing every job, right? But then as soon as we remove this, we need to subtract that from our total time, right? Because we're no longer doing this job. Whatever duration this was, we're no longer doing that job, so we need to subtract that from the total time that we've taken to complete these jobs. And now this max heap is going to by the end of this loop, this max heap here is going to hold whatever jobs we were able to complete by the max deadline. Okay, so let's return max heap dot size. Cool. So let's run it, submit it. Cool, and it works. All right, and this is just n log n in terms of time because inserting into a max heap is log n, and we're doing this n times. So n would be the number of jobs or the number of courses. So this is n log n time, and then the space is going to be this is going to do like a tim sort or merge sort. So that's going to be O of n space, and then our max heap could hold all the jobs. That would be O of n space as well. All right, so yeah, if this helped, you can give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe if you want. Cool, bye.